rights for Resident Evil, and I'm a big fan of the games. Like, I love it. I also stream it on Twitch, so you can check them out. But Netflix. The story takes place over 2 timelines, the first of which involves 14-year-old sisters Jade and Billie Wesker moving to the new city. They come to realize that their father may be concealing a dark secret that could destroy the world. The second timeline takes place over a decade in the future, where only 15 million humans remain, with over 6 billion animals and people being infected with the T virus. It follows Jade, now 30, in her efforts to survive in this world. A number of things right with this, like the atmosphere and the set designs are really good. Like, you get that really dystopian future where everything's being decimated by obviously the T virus. And these zombies are a little bit quicker in terms of what they were in the original, where they're not like dragging their feet, where they're actually running and they're quite quick, and they do give us a little bit of information in terms of how the T virus has sort of adapted and how it goes. Obviously the sight goes, and then the hearing goes, and the smell goes, and everything sort of progressively declines, but they're not actually dead, it's just mutating their cells. And the T virus is now getting into the animals, which we do see in the games, but I felt like they had a little bit too much of a focus on the T virus in the actual big animals. Where the 2 timelines, I didn't like the 2 timelines. I can see what they're trying to do with the 2 timelines, but I really didn't care for the younger versions of Billie and Jade, where they just felt like it was trying to be really diverse, and like, we've got so many different things. Like, they just felt like they were ticking off things on the box, but like, we got a bully, we've got the high school drama, we've got vegans, we've got everything that's coming in. Like, it's just, the focus should be on the T virus and the zombies and trying to work out how they're going to solve it, like the games are, rather than trying to include every diversity into the show. Where when we're in the future, I actually quite like the future dynamic in terms of how Billie and Jade have taken 2 separate paths, where Jade is obviously trying to understand the T virus and survive, and is working with like a rebel kind of group, where Billie is working for Umbrella. And I like how Umbrella is really that dominating faction that is not in Umbrella. Actually really hates Umbrella, because they just sort of do whatever they want, and they don't really care of who's sort of like gets crushed by their advancements. Where they did change a number of the source materials, so obviously Albert Wesker has changed, where I was a little bit worried about it, and I was interested to see where they go, because he does die live, where he goes in and gets burnt by the lava in the volcano. Where obviously in the earlier part of in the early timeline, with incredible performance as Albert Wesker. Like, he's got to play 4 different roles, because we do learn that Albert has actually, you know, due to his self-preservation and his like arrogance, he's cloned himself, because if one's this good, why not more? Where I liked the different portrayals of all the different ones. So obviously the clones have 3 different personalities, and they're all switching between them. Where the original Albert is obviously, he did inject himself with the experimental T virus, and that gave him the red glowing eyes, which didn't actually appear in the show, which was an odd choice, but he does show off his like superhuman strength and speed with the Umbrella Corporation as he comes in. Obviously one gets shot in the head, but the two clones are actually complete opposites to each other. One of them is a bit more like Albert and is a bit more clinical and focused on the work, and the other one's a little bit more carefree and wants to listen to music and stuff as well. Where the switching between his performances with each of the clones is fantastic, and we don't really get to see that towards, well, when the actual girls do find it in that earlier timeline, where that was a nice little touch. And he was by far the standout for me, where there's some nice throwbacks from the games. Obviously we've got like the crocodile that's infected with the T virus, and that reminded me of Resident Evil 4, where you're fighting the fish monster in the lake. A number of the zombies as well, like we've got the chainsaw guy from, which I don't think he was a zombie, he was just a person, but in Resident Evil 5 you do have the guys with the chainsaws. And there was a nice little throwback to the game when they were trying to include it in, but I just did not care for the early timeline, besides when Lance is playing Wesker, and you can really see the dynamic really early on when Billie gets in trouble. Like when he's in the school office, like you can see his just sudden snap and the demeanor that he's able to portray. Like it's just an amazing performance, like easily the standout. But when we're in the future, like the dynamic between the two sisters and the two choices they made, where we do get that final confrontation, it felt forced. I did like the confrontation between Jade and Billy, where they're two different dynamics, and the crocodile and the child, where the child is obviously going to play a little bit more into it, where is she immune to it, or is she able to calm the zombies down, because she can calm, like the crocodile came at her and she just ended up patting her, and then obviously all hell broke loose with Billy in the helicopter. But we can see, like, obviously the Weskers are able to, due to their gene manipulation, they're able to heal, because like Jade's jumped off 100-foot fall and like has no worries whatsoever. She's just like got a little bit winded. But I like how they're trying to tie some stuff in, but the whole show was a mess. Like, it was just, the story wasn't quite there. Like, it just, the flicking back and forth between the timeline. Raccoon City was okay. Like, they pretty much built the new city on top of an old one, where the focus should have been more on the T-Virus and the characters and the storylines that we've already established in the games, where they missed the mark. They tried to be too diverse, too open-ended. I do like the ending where they've given the note and Ada Wong, they have to go find her, and she plays a big role in Resident Evil 2, where she's the reporter and comes in and is really trying to undercover. She's like the spy as well. She's trying to get a sample of the T-Virus, where she's a really cool character. I hope they don't mess that one up, but I feel like they could have stayed a little bit more tightly impacted in terms of the movies as well, so they could have tied in the movies and the games, where I liked how they were trying to be ambitious, but they just missed the mark massively on it. Let me know what you think about it, and unfortunately, it was a bit of a slog to get through. Like, if they do season 2, I'm going to watch it. I'm going to be fair. Like, I do enjoy Resident Evil content. Unfortunately for me, it was 2.5 stars. Like, there were moments that I did enjoy. I enjoyed the future timeline much better than the actual early timeline. But yeah, you know what to do. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and tell your friends.